Evening all. Here we are once again, Tuesday evening, back with the Arsenal review. No faff, no funfair, straight down to it. With me as always tonight, we've got Neil. How are we doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? You all right? Thank you for having me on.
Mate,
Hi, Steve.
Thank you for coming on. I know you're not 100% after getting caught in that monsoon on Saturday, so it's very nice to see you here and looking well. And Steve, how are we doing, Steve-O?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Bit of humble pie tonight, I think, for me. Bit of humble pie. Yeah.
I will make sure this is recorded, obviously, and we can refer back to it because that doesn't happen often, does it?
So, we'll discuss that during the show.
Let's do it. So, listen, boys, let's just jump straight into it, eh? Now, obviously, we're talking firstly about the Fulham game on Saturday. Now, I wasn't at the game on Saturday, quite disappointed to miss it, but I was away for the weekend. So I have seen the game back. I've seen the extended highlights that Sky do, which is about 45 minutes worth, which is decent. Obviously, it's not the whole experience being there, seeing the games build up. So I'm really looking forward to hearing both of you, because I know both of you were at the game at the weekend. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your verdicts. I'd like to hear, what because I've heard it was good atmosphere there for the most part. Obviously, a little bit strained towards the end. So I'll come to you first, Neil. Tell us about your experience Saturday. Tell us how you felt the game went and where we go from here.
Well, at least there was no problems getting in this time, so that's good.
That's a good thing, actually. I was going to ask you that. There was no reported issues this week, so that was a good thing.
No, we all got in quite comfortably, so that was a good thing. So it was nice to be there without any kerfuffle, as they say, and just try and enjoy the game. So the atmosphere was electric as always. Moving just forward a bit, it was unbelievable when Eddie scored his goal. It just, the noise levels were insanity, and it's a shame because with the crowd so behind the team at that stage, with then Fulham going down to 10 men, we really should have capitalised on it. And as a summary, it was 2 points dropped. It was very disappointing. Now, I know every single game in the Premiership is a tough game. It's a very difficult game. You can't take anyone for granted. You've got to show them respect. You cannot be complacent at any time. However, Fulham at home are the kind of games we really should be winning when we know we've got tougher games on the horizon. And I just felt that, all right, we haven't lost. We've got 7 out of 9, but it just feels like we've already slipped where we shouldn't have. But having said that, again, just his tactics and the lineup was a little bit surprising. The pleasing aspect for me was Trossard was starting, but as it transpired, he didn't have his best game. I think maybe it was positional issues. It was maybe Havertz and himself not knowing their roles with each other and getting in each other's way at times. It was. I think Arteta is really going down this experimental route. He's trying to be unpredictable. I think he's thinking too hard and too much about everything and trying to be a bit too clever. But then I don't know. I'm just assuming, just as a fan, maybe this is where it's going, and it's catching him out and catching the team out. Because for me, there's no fluidity. There's partnerships which have been broken, i.e. Saliba, Gabriel. That again, Gabriel's admission was a bit of a strange one. You got Partey on the right back position, which. Okay, he's not playing bad in that position, but that's not his position, and it's breaking up here the relationship that White and Saka had together, which was great last season. So everything that was great last season in terms of partnerships is no longer there, and I think all the players themselves are a little bit confused as to what their individual roles are, and he's got to revert back to how it was last season. He's got to go more traditional what he was doing last season for me.
Do you think Arteta is trying to be too clever for his own good at the moment?
I think possibly that might be it. Or maybe not too clever. Maybe he's trying to be too unpredictable because, at the end of last season, people were beginning to suss us out and counter us. But I would still say that was down to Saliba's omission from his absence because of his injury. And I think that's where we fell apart because of that. It wasn't just so much, a predictable style of football. And what's aggravated me, I'll shut up in a minute, is the fact that last season I felt for a long time we established some identity. We actually established an identity. And this season already, the first 3 games, I don't know what we are trying to do. I don't know. And poor Havertz, he's getting a lot of stick. Maybe some of it's justified. I'm kind of in the middle. I just feel that he's a good player, but I think he should not be starting at the moment. I think he should be coming on as a substitute. Let the players that are more familiar with each other and Arteta's style of play initially, and then maybe bring him on as an impact sub. I don't know, but his omission, Emil Smith-Rowe not getting minutes, Gabriel not getting minutes. It's just I'm not comfortable as I was last season. Let me put it that way.
It's an interesting point you made. You made it to me when we were chatting earlier on today, Neil, that the identity thing. And I hadn't really thought about it before you mentioned it. But since you had, it's been going through my mind. The fact that we did, one of the things I think they had done so well last year was because we had found that identity. We'd found a way of playing that our style and the players had bought into that. And so far this season, even though we haven't lost a game, we have got 7 points out of 9, which ain't bad, really. That identity and that way of playing has gone. Do you think that's a valid point, Steve?
I think there's 2 or 3 things that Arteta's sort of Arteta's playing at here, right? And it is very odd. And to be honest with you, there's been some odd, through the weekend, there's been some odd results. Look at Liverpool and Phil, mate. Look at Liverpool sort of beating Newcastle with 10 men, the way they played, Nunes coming on. But when you've got the best back four, I would have said in the Premiership or some of the best players that you can imagine, right? In that back four, there's rock solid with a goalie that actually is pretty good. Although again, the first goal you have to worry why he's so far out again. This inverted right bullshit that we're seeing. Sorry, my apologies. BS, cow poop. So this inverted right concept. So the idea being that we're actually playing a back three and Partey comes in and makes the four. What happens is you take away a very creative player that comes from the midfield straight into the attacking box, and it is absolutely at home. He's at the beginning of the season, so he's fit, he's healthy. There's no problems with him. And so all you do is you drag that back, and it goes back exactly to what Neil's been saying. It's taking that amazing partnership that I think you have between 3 players there. Actually, it's Odegaard, White, and Saka. That triangle that they play, and if you watch them, the way they rotate in and out, all of a sudden you break that. And yes, towards the end of last season, people might say, well, we figured out how to play against you. Well, actually, we've got upgrades on the players that we had from last season, so I don't think we need to change that. That back four is full of world-class talent. Was full of great players. The only thing that I can think of, because Gabriel in the first half was actually warming up as Mangalis and not Jesus, was running up and warming up all the way through the first half. I just got to think that they're thinking of selling him. That's the only thing that I can put into my head, right? That manager's sitting there saying, "I don't want him injured because we might have to sell him come Friday." Now, I'm hoping to God that come Saturday, that won't be the case, right?
On that account, I don't want to worry you even more, but you do know that Saudi Arabia's got 3 extra weeks of the window open. Their window doesn't shut on Thursday. Theirs shuts in 3.5 weeks' time as we stand now.
So, well, who knows? Who knows what we can do with that? No, but I still think that we need to be open still for us to be able to sell.
I think so too. I mean, Terry's got an interesting point. To be fair, Fulham's goal was the best pass Saka made all game. This is one of the things, right? Again, if that was Havertz who done that mistake and not Saka, can you imagine the uproar? One of the things that I'm realising right now is we have the most. I mean, I always thought it was pretty bad, but we have got the most reactionary fans out there, and I don't like saying not all of us, obviously, present company and those in the chat excluded. But I just thought to myself that was an awful wayward pass by Saka. It was terrible, and it was a pretty. I felt Ramsdale possibly could have been better positioned as well. Anyway, if that was Havertz who had made that backward pass, or Eddie, for instance, can you imagine the uproar? With Saka, barely got a mention.
The flip to it is, Adam. The flip to it is actually that back pass came in, and it went into the space where Partey should have been. So Partey actually opened up, made that space. So I kind of And it was like a game. You sort of go sort of 10, 15 minutes into the second half, and the change is made. And there's a good point actually Richard's made, because I will talk. Hopefully, we can talk about the Jorginho bit, because I didn't fucking get it. Sorry, I didn't understand it. Bringing Jorginho on for Odegaard, I didn't get that at all. But when we went to a back four, right, and even Vieira played well. Went to a back four, all of a sudden we changed the whole way that we're in. You know, brought Eddie on, and we're right. Last week we were all going on about Trossard, and he had his chance. He didn't have a good game. And I think that's a lot of it was a disconnect between himself and the midfield. That was quite obvious. And the reason being is that Partey was spending more time making up that back four than he was actually bombing forward, which is what you should be doing. So when I look at that game, going back to that back four with the players that we've got, and of course now Tierney's gone, which I think is a mistake, but for whatever reason he's not part of the plan or the program.
Terry.
So one thing I will say about Havertz, right? There's one thing I will say. He was getting into right positions. There is a player that's playing with zero confidence right now. Right, everybody's on his back. He's got zero confidence. You can see it. You can see what he's doing. You can see the way he's doing. Kivio was the other one that nobody said too much about. Off the pace, and it's not his fault he hasn't played, but his passing was less than optimal. It was behind. He was making more mistakes going forward than he should have been. That's not to say he's not a good player. He hasn't had the time to play, right? So we've got to cut him a bit of slack. So all in all, the back four, with Ben White saying, I don't like Ben White out the right. Personally, I think with Timber we'd have had a better player. So I just think this new process, this new BS that he's trying is enough, because we've dropped points when we needed to win those. We've got Manchester United coming, who will absolutely tear us a new one. Because if one thing we can guarantee is Rashford absolutely loves a goal against us. He absolutely loves to give us. And if you put Thomas Partey down the side there and expect him to stop Rashford, you are in cloud cuckoo land, right? We will honestly be on back of a drumming.
Very, very valid points of each. Phil just put in here, so didn't even actually ask Arteta why he made the insane substitution when Fulham went down. So let's talk about that substitution for a minute, because it was very negative. It was a very negative substitution at that time when I think possibly should have been pushing for more rather than sit back. Because the worst thing you can do, I think, in the Premier League is sit back and invite a team onto you, any team. Yeah. And especially when a team's down to 10 men, they've got nothing to lose. Of course, they're going to attack you. They're going to go for it. It was bizarre. It was bizarre. Terry's weighed in with another Havertz comment here. Going what you say about Havertz, yes, he does look like he's suffering confidence, but he's an experienced footballer. Like, he shouldn't have to be at this stage after 3 games. I don't know. I still want to err on the side of positivity and say that there's definitely a player in there. I just don't think he's being utilised in the right way. Now, a couple of things that I've read over the weekend around both the players and the formation, etc., is one, that Arteta's trying it this way. Obviously, he's been forced to try it in regards to the Timber issue, but another reason he's trying to do it.
No, he hasn't. That's not true. Right, that is not true, because you've got. I know Tomiyasu was out with the red, but you've had Tierney, you've had Timber. With Timber out, you've got Tierney and you've got Tomiyasu that's sitting there. You've got Kivio that can play there as well. Not a point. He can put a back 4 out, no problems at all. I won't have that. I won't have that at all. Like, he's playing around with some BS, some BS. Let's do my Arteta magic, and it's failing. It's not working. It genuinely is not working, right? You can see, if you have a look at Declan Rice played really, really well, I thought, and ran himself into the ground. Look at his heat map. Look at what he did. Yeah, the Palace game, we talked about that last week. Absolutely ran himself into the ground again, making up for the fact that there's this massive, massive gaps in midfield. Sorry, mate. Partey is not a right back. You can't do that.
Just following on from your comments, Rich, there. It's had a great though, because Arteta hasn't been able to ruin it. Let's be a bit realistic for a second here. We haven't lost yet. We've won 2, we drew 1. First 3 games. We've done a lot better than some teams have in the Premier League. Yes, we haven't been playing that well, but the points are still on the board. Okay, we haven't done it yet. For me, a lot of it will really show how Sunday is, or really said Saturday, i.e., how we play and the team we set up with, because then for me, we'll really know whether he was just trying to make something work in the first 3 days, or this is how he wants to play. Because if we go out with a similar lineup and formation against United, that is, for me, an indication there and then that that's the way he wants to play, and he'll try it until it works. Or if he does revert back, it was purely a case of one, testing a few players in a few positions and sees what works. Or an interesting theory that I saw today is he's chosen to give some of the possible squad players some minutes early in the season, knowing that once the harder games come, they'll drop away. Potentially like Partey, for instance, Gabriel could come back in, White could move across, Kivior, for instance, possibly even Trossard, Eddie, for instance. These kind of players who have been getting minutes that possibly won't when our full strength team's out. So for me, it's going to be a real good indicator on Saturday, Sunday even, where we go from here. Because we need a performance. We don't just need a result on Sunday. We do need a performance. We do need to get that momentum going. Because at the moment, we have been scraping wins, scraping points, but we need momentum. And I can't wait for I can't wait for the transfer window to be open. But like we just pointed out, Saudi's open for another 3 weeks. So like that's not going to really end until that ends.
No, I just sort of sit back and think, look, genuinely, and I know he's pig-headed. I know he's stubborn, and I know, all of that I understand. But ultimately, it doesn't matter when you look at what's actually going on and what's happening. Then you can't continue doing the same thing, right? Because too much is at stake. He spent 200 million on players, and again, I've said last week, and I've said it before. Timber's a massive loss to us. He's got to pick up the pace. He's got to pick it up with the guys. He's got and he's got to go to more solid defence. Head the story, which is why I still think he's sitting there waiting for the window to close, and then we'll go back to a back four.
I hope that is potentially the case, and I do hope that sensibility prevails in this instance, because clearly it's not working. Whatever kind of experimentation he's done, now's the time to stop. We have had 3 winnable games, like Richard just pointed out. We should have had 9 points. Yeah, we should have. Let's be honest, we should have. But he's had those games to kind of experiment, and now we've got a run of pretty difficult games coming up that we need to. Again, we need results, but we also need to prove that we are, not just a flash in the pan one season where we pushed on. We do need to kind of push on. So overall, obviously we can look at this as 2 points dropped rather than 1 point gained against Fulham. Yeah, we all agree with that one. Excellent. Again, one of the things that I was a bit surprised about was I was happy that Trossard started, but I was surprised that Eddie was dropped. Because again, talking last week, I thought Eddie against Palace was one of the best games I'd seen him play. And again, it got me thinking, like, how's that for the guy's confidence? Like, he's just played, against Palace, where I thought he had a really good game leading that line. He was unlucky to not score a couple of times. He obviously won the penalty, and we all sat here last week agreeing with that. So then Eddie's probably high, thinking he's had a cut. He's scored in the first game of the season, won a penalty, and played really well the second. Then he gets dropped. I'm thinking, what does this do mentally to the players? Like, I mean, it's good that he's given Trossard a go because we all wanted to see that. But I wasn't expecting it to be at the expense of possibly Eddie. I thought maybe Martinelli or Saka maybe could or even Havertz could have given away. What do you make of that, Neil?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think he's improved more than it surprised me. I've never been a huge Eddie fan, and sometimes I have to give credit where credit's due. I see it as I try and say it as I see it, and he's played well. The only positive thing from it, Adam, I believe that can hit anyone's confidence and mental attitude. Of course it can. But when he did come on at half time, he was great again. He was brilliant. I think his link-up play has improved, his awareness. He's doing a little bit more of what not to that level, of course. Jesus is just unbelievable the way he just moves around everywhere, but he seems to be doing a little bit more of that. But his link-up play has definitely improved, and the goal to score
from
it was great. I mean, and let's not forget Vieira. I think one of you two mentioned it
I
earlier.
was going to come on to the next point. What
Okay, sorry.
What happened with him though when he come on? He looked a man possessed.
My goodness me, what is it? 100 pass accuracy, and he did 5 major things which were all significant. He won the penalty. He made the assists. He that scissor or bicycle kick.
Scissor kick was really good.
That other attempt that he had at the end where it was just parried over by Leno, and then you got his ball in, which actually led to their player being sent off. He was involved in everything. I've not seen Vieira play this well before. I think that's the best. I actually would say he was Arsenal's man of the match for me, 100%. But I just feel if something you touched on earlier, which I really want to have a quick word on. We tend to do that when we are winning. Why do we come off the gas? We do it all the time. It's almost become our identity in a weird way. That's a negative part of our end. Even last season we were doing it. Why do we take the foot off the gas when we're winning? Stop doing that. You keep going until the blooming final whistle. And the fact that whether he makes stupid substitutions or nonsensical substitutions, every single player on that pitch should be going for it, because you were spot on, Adam. When a team is down, it doesn't matter if they've lost a man, they've just lost the lead, and they're now down. They're going to still go for it. So we have to go for it. Well, I don't understand why we tend to just
mentality. It's a weird mentality.
I feel it's like being complacent and almost arrogant. That, you're not going to score against us now. No, you can't think that way. You know, anything can happen. The missed kick, even a deflected shot, anything can happen. You have to try and we've been known to squander 2-0 leads. 2-0 isn't good enough for us. We need to get 3 or 4 to make sure that we're going to get home and dry. I really find that hard to understand why we do that. And I have to say also, Saka at fault for the first goal, along with Partey not being in position and Ramsdale always. I don't know if you see it, Steve, but from where I was sitting, every time I've been to a live game, it looks worse when it's live. He stands so far away from his line. It's like you could get lobbed, mate. Stop doing that. And I don't understand why he does it. Look, I love Ramsdale, but stop doing that. And I also think that for the second goal, their goal, I think Saka and Rice could have done better. I know, Steve, you said Rice had a great game, but I think Saka and Rice could have done a bit better on that second. So Saka potentially was kind of responsible for both their goals. But like you said, if it was Havertz or Eddie, it would have been a different story. So
it's interesting what you just touched on, because going back down the years, we've had really good examples of it. Like going back to George Graham era, we were a goal up, and if we wanted to conserve a goal up, we would do it. You know, there was no question about it. We were hard to break down. We had a very organised defence and a defence-minded midfield, really, so we could do it back then. We don't have that now. In the days of Wenger, kind of the early years, we were ruthless, like Phil's just said here. Like, you know, there are times we need to be ruthless, and we were. The first few years of the Wenger era, we would go out in the first 10, 15 minutes and do 3-4, and it was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And then after that, you could afford to take your foot off the gas because you've already done it. For me, it's a mixture of both. Arteta doesn't seem to want to. We're not as stingy at the back as that team in the 80s and 90s, and we're not as ruthless and cutting edge going forward. So, like, what do you do? Like, we want the best of both. We want like a stingy defence. We want a really kind of ruthless attack. We haven't really got either at the moment, but it doesn't always seem to me that that's what he wants. Like, he seems to want to just meander through games a little bit, and it's like Phil said, it is annoying and it is frustrating to look at. I mean, just a quick one on Vieira. I mean, before we move on, like, again, I wasn't at the game, but I've seen the extended highlights. He just seemed to have confidence abound when he come on, which is when he come on last year, he would just disappear in games. Like, or when he started, he would be like a little schoolboy coming on for his debut. But when he played at the weekend, he just looked a completely different player. I don't know what it was. Like, it's just confidence. It's got to be a mental thing, because the ability obviously was there already. You know, it must be a mental thing. I mean, Steve, tell us a little bit about what you saw about Vieira at the weekend.
Well, you know, I'm always one for Vieira in a clown cannon myself. Fire him. I don't like the player. I don't think he's good enough. But for this game, so I've got to just go back to Eddie actually, because Eddie just came on with beast mode enabled, because he was. It's like watching a very young Ian Wright. You know, at the very beginning, these Crystal Palace days.
I praise that.
Watching it, not quite as good, but just sort of come on and was just a total and utter pain. like getting nibbling away at the defenders, pulling, pushing, really getting it. Then number 3, the one who got the number 3 who got the second yellow card, just you couldn't handle him and Saka together. The two of them were doubling up on him. And that's it. The red card came. But Vieira came on. I don't know what it was. It's as if he had a free license again. And one of the bits, going back to what we were saying, we weren't recycling the ball quick enough like we normally do. Like if you think about the way we play, and again, I think that goes back to losing some of the creativity in midfield. But we were not recycling that ball. We were not moving it around. Martinelli was in acres and acres and acres of space, and it's just a straight thing. Lob it. Let's play Saka ball again. Straight to Saka, straight to Saka, straight to Saka. You've got Martinelli sitting there. Martinelli's playing really well at this moment in time. He's actually, I think he's one of our best players that we've got. So form-wise, he's hitting form perfectly, sitting in acres of space, causing them all sorts of problems, but not passing to him. Vieira comes in, bang, straight away. And also Zinni as well. So Zinni made the difference. So you had Zinni and Vieira there down that left-hand side, and it was, Martinelli came off, but it was just constant recycling that ball, moving it, put some pace in there. And yes, you're absolutely right. We seem to just sit there and go, all right, that we're 1-0 up. No one's going to get past us. We've got Thomas Partey. We've got Thomas Partey right back. No problems at all. Not where he should be. So no, I absolutely agree with you. But our recycling the ball's awful. And just watching bloody Ramsdale all the time, because of course he starts. When he just starts at our end. At my end, watching him, he's miles out of space, just miles and miles and miles out.
To be fair to him, though, you look at a lot of keepers now in the Premier League, especially when their team's attacking, they do kind of go way out more so than they used to, and it is frustrating. Like you do think, what the hell are you doing? We pick out Ramsdale because we look at him more. If you do objectively look at other teams, especially when they even play at the Emirates, you will see the other keeper doing that as well. It's not just him. It seems to be a thing now with keepers playing out. He
got lobbed in the Europa League. And
a lot of people have been caught out. It's the way they want to play.
And Fulham's goal as well. And again, he was miles out. He was miles out from his box. So, the whole lot's, which is why Raya's there, I believe. Genuinely believe that's why Raya's there. So that could be an interesting thing coming up. But look at what we're doing. I think it's universal that everybody's saying it. Everybody. And I've been having arguments with some good people that I get on very well with on Twitter about it. Sorry, Thomas Partey at right back. It's not working. It's like putting what's his name, Granit Xhaka at left back. Really, that never worked. That nonsense never worked, and he cut that out really quickly. So he might be rotating squad. We might be looking to see who's walking out the door. It might be a whole load of reasons, but I'm telling you, if he does not change it. We're just going to be on the end, on the receiving end of a real hiding come Sunday, and the pressure, and all of a sudden we're 4 games in, and the pressure starts from everybody. The pressure's going to start coming down.
Partey and Rice need to be near each other.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work otherwise for me.
I think they're trying to accommodate Havertz for me at the moment in that midfield. Yeah. But for me, I think we need to revert to Rice, Partey, Odegaard in that central 3.
Yeah.
Havertz to come off the bench where I think to be more effective, and I hope that's what we see. I mean, I wasn't going to move on to United till the end, but let's talk about United now because I know Neil, you're strapped for a bit of time tonight, so I wanted to kind of move on to United. Obviously, Fulham wasn't the best, in hindsight. 2 points drop. We didn't lose the game. We should have been winning that game, though. Let's be fair. But we move on to another home game at the weekend, Sunday. United Super Sunday. So I mean. First of all, Steve, what are you expecting team-wise, and what would you like? And do they match up?
No, they don't. So what I expect, what I'd like, and what I'm going to see, I think are 2 totally different things. And I'm happy for Terry to have a go at me if I get proved wrong, because I've had to eat a whole load of humble pie this week. All right, so Terry's like he's got the hooks out tonight, and he's started. He's going to try and hook me in. No, so I'm expecting that he'll start the usual nonsense again. Yeah, there'll be a back 3 with Thomas Partey doing this inverted role because that's the way this manager is. What I'd like to see is Plymouth 1-0 up against Crystal Palace as well, which I think is quite interesting. What I would like to see is us return to a back 4. So that's Tomiyasu potentially, I don't know, But I know, oh no, Tommy's not back. It'd be either Zinchenko or Tommy out on the left. You know, that's what I'd like to see. You know, the usual people, Gabriel, you know, Saliba, White. You know, go back to that, Tommy or Zinny out on the left, because I think that's our strongest back four, if I'm honest with you. And push Partey up. You know, do that three. You got Martinelli, and you've got Jesus, has he got? He's obviously got a horrible emergency call out at the moment. He's obviously some client. Terry, behave yourself. No, so we'll have Martinelli. We'll have Saka out. Jesus, Terry, got me there. It will be a poo fest, Terry. So yeah. And have that and Jesus up front, yeah, potentially. And I think Havertz needs a little bit of time. I think you're impact player.
I think Havertz needs to be taken out of the firing line a little bit. He needs the pressure taken off of him.
I think Terry would like to think about the firing line. I think Terry would like to think about the firing line. But look, so I just sort of sit back and think that is what I'd like to see. Strong back four. What we do in front, I'm not too worried about, because we've got enough players in there to make a difference. I really do, but we have to go back to it. And do you know what? I don't care if people have sort of sussed us towards the end of last season. Don't really care. We had two massive injuries with Saliba and Tomiyasu, right? You know, we lost those two, and it actually made a massive difference to our game. And like Phil, like literally, you're right. The one good thing about this at the moment, actually, with Man United, was we talk about that, is they have got a lot of injuries. So you know, Mason contributing a lot, Mount not, is obviously out. There's quite a few. And what I'm seeing is I've been watching their games, and and Casemiro has been kind of left. They've been kind of bombing on and leaving Casemiro there on his own. And I just know with the pace that we have, should we go to a back four and the pace that we've got and the players that we've got, we'll tear that midfield to pieces. So I think from Man United's perspective, they don't bring McTominay in and we go to our strongest sort of formation, I think we'll win. But if he does this back three, we'll lose, because Rashford will just absolutely destroy Partey. It'll be a nightmare. It'll be a nightmare watching him, right? Whoever they decide to put down, whether it's Rashford or who's the other overpriced flop that they got. Well, that was the one one they got from Germany. I can't. It will come to me in a minute. English player from Germany. I think he plays out that side. Anyway,
Sancho.
Yeah, Sancho. Yeah. So who sounds like a clown? It's a sort of clown's name, isn't it? Really. So you'll see, you know, that sort of pace coming down. So it's too much for him. So as Phil says, move Partey either. And if you want to carry on the Havertz experiment, you're gonna have to drop Partey. Right, go to a back four, drop Partey, just put Havertz in there and do what you got to do. But seriously, we cannot play around. We cannot make any like gameplay type nonsense mind games, because we're going to get absolutely destroyed on Sunday.
Agreed. Neil, what about you? What are you thinking for Saturday? Again, similar question. What do you expect to see? What do you want to see? And do they match up?
No, I'd go with what Steve said. I want Saliba and Gabriel to reestablish their relationship together, their partnership together in defence. I want Zinny and Zinny and White on the right and left. Partey, Rice, Odegaard, and then the three up front. I mean, I would actually, Rich will kill me for saying this, but I would stick with Eddie to start. Martinelli, Saka, and then Jesus to come on as a sub, because I think when I saw Jesus come on the other day, Steve might have tested this, I thought he was off the pace. He's just come back from an injury. I don't think it's nice to start against Man U. I think at the moment Eddie is on form, and I never thought in a million years I'd say start Eddie against Man U, but I'm going to say start Eddie against Man U. I really believe that Havertz has to be on the bench. You can't. It's not working at the moment. He may have a role in the future. Maybe it will work sometime in the future. But I'm hoping it's what you were saying earlier, Adam, about that he may just be testing his sort of squad players now, and then now when they're really hard grafted comes in, we get back to the familiar team. But the thing is, Arteta's quite stubborn. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same system again on Sunday. And if we do, I'm going to be watching it with dread. I just don't think it's going to work. I think the opposition, we're not. You see, last season, you know, the other main thing We got into the opposition's heads last season a little bit. Do you remember we used to have a fear factor about us?
Yeah.
We used to have a fear factor about us. The other teams would, or the opposition teams would think, oh God, we've got to play Arsenal. Again, what's happened is I think that fear factor is eroding away. And I think any team that they're probably looking forward to when they're playing Arsenal next, if it continues in this formation, this style of play, we've got to go back to the basics. Yeah, exactly. There you go. I said it as soon as Emerson said it. They go back to the basics. 100% in sync there, Emerson. There you go. That's what we need. We need to do that. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we can't go on with this let's accommodate Havertz situation. I gave him benefit of the doubt the first 2 games. I was here. You heard me last week. But after seeing him against Fulham, I'm like, he was just getting in everyone's, well, not just him, but Trossard and Havertz were really conflicting in getting each other's. They didn't know their roles together. There's no the synchronization that we had last season seems to have gone. The fluidity, the style of football we were playing, which was so nice to watch, has dissipated. It's just gone.
Yeah.
We've scored 2 of our goals from penalties. And the major thing that really upsets me about the Emirates is we are leaking so many goals at home. We've got to stop that. We're good away. We tend to be all right away. But at home, we're leaking too many goals. And you're not going to win titles by leaking so many goals. So I would like to go back to basics, but I think he won't.
I agree. For a minute there, I did think we were on University Challenge. Synchronization, fluidity, dissipation. I had to kind of double check where we were just then. But yeah, well played.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. I mean, I hope, God will, that we do revert back to Gabriel, Saliba, Zinchenko, White, Partey in the middle, what Emerson's just said, with Rice and Odegaard. I really want to see those 3 work. I really do. I've been dying to see those 3 because I do think that having Partey in there will give Rice the license to wander and get up and down a bit more, similar to like Xhaka was doing last year. And I do think Rice as an upgrade on Xhaka.
Yeah.
And then the front 3, I would 100% start Eddie and have people like Havertz and Trossard on the bench, Jesus on the bench. What a strong bench that would be, depending on how the game's going. So for me, it has to be that way. But I'm not confident it will be. Do you know what I mean? I'm not. And, it's going to be an interesting 3:30 when that team comes in. It's going to be very telling, I think, for the rest of our season. I think it's probably a really important selection that goes places. Because Man United ain't done nothing. They've not turned up any trees this season. They've won a couple of games very luckily. They got well beaten at Tottenham. This doesn't happen often. So they're there. They're beatable. But again, similar. Like Man United have gone through stages before, and then they'll go on a run, similar like they did last season, where and then they'll be crap again, where they'll lose 7 against Liverpool. So who knows? I mean, let's do quick predictions. Steve, what are we predicting score-wise?
So I'm going to err on a side of caution here, and I think we're going to come away with a draw.
Draw? Would you take it right now?
I don't want it, but I generally think the way that we're playing right now, with the energy, enthusiasm, I think like a 2-2 draw is what we'll end up with.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Neil. Neil is always positive, always comes up with a 6-0 scoreline. What are we thinking?
I'm not going to change the habit of a lifetime. I don't care what formation we play. Havertz to score a hat-trick. Go Havertz.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'll go 3-1. Just held 3-1. Why not? And Martinelli 3-1. Martinelli score the first.
I actually was thinking draw as well, and I was thinking 2-2. I do think there'll be goals because I do think we've always got goals in us, but I do think we'll always concede. Similar to last year when we won 3-2 at our place. I think it'll be quite an open game. I think I want the win. I would humbly accept 1-0 to the Arsenal. I would love that, to be honest, right now. But I do think 2-2 I'm going to go for. I'm going to agree with Steve, on that one. So let's just see. I do think, it's weird that we haven't had any midweek games yet. So it's kind of like, we're not at that stage yet where it's kind of 2 games a week at a minute. No. So we're not there yet. So it seems a long period between games to look out for at the moment. It's not quick enough for me right now. It's not. The season doesn't seem like it's properly kicked into gear yet. Let's just check in on the chat here because I know you had a few in here.
Tez is being like, oh my God, Tez is like on a real downer.
Oh, Terry, what's going on?
Just like, well, mate, come on.
Oh,
Just like, come on. Have some of my pie, Terry. Come and have some of my pie.
God, look, I've got to say, like, it's a very downbeat chat tonight. Like, we haven't lost the game yet, boys. You know, we are Emerson. That's it. Nice and confident. 3-2 Arsenal. 3-2 Arsenal. Now, listen, stay. I just want to say Neil's got to drop off in a minute. So, as always, thank you for coming on, mate. Obviously, please feel free to stay on until you can.
Yeah.
With the game. Hope to see you next week. I want to talk briefly about transfers. Now, before you do leave, Neil, there's something that Terry put on the chat earlier. I'm trying to find.
Well, the one by Rich. That was Rich's one when he turned around and said the rebuild has started again from the rebuild.
No, Terry put this one.
Oh man!
So this has obviously done the rounds the last couple of days, and it's gone to because we're getting near the end of the transfer window. ESR's not been playing. Chelsea will buy anyone. There's been rumours today about a Mudryk and the ESR swap. Before you leave us, Neil, I mean, talk to us about ESR, about Chelsea, about this link. Tell me it's crap.
It's got to be crap. ESR's an Arsenal player. I love ESR so much. I put a tweet on earlier, and one of the guys quite rightly said, "Look, don't get too connected with players because the loyalty isn't there anymore." It's true. I mean, the days of Tony Adams and Matt Letizia, all those loyal players, that's all gone because money's ruined the game in a weird way, and Saudis, the advent of Saudi and them destroying the markets made it even worse. So totally get it, but I can't help but really have a good feeling about ESR. I think I will still say, you've heard me say it so many times before, and I'm going to keep saying it. When him and Saka came on board a couple of seasons ago, and they absolutely steadied a real falling ship or sinking ship of ours, it was them two that helped us get some credibility back. And I actually thought at the time ESR would become the better player. And I still think he could get to Saka's levels at the minimum, if not usurp them. I really do. And if we let that guy go, that's one of the biggest mistakes we will make. He's full of talent. This is the kind of thing I expected from Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere suffered all those, horrendous injuries, and it never quite worked out for him. I think ESR, if he can now stay injury-free and he gets a good run of games, he could be an extraordinary talent and a player for us. And he loves the club as well. And if we get rid of him, if we're going to get rid of him and we get rid of him to a club like Chelsea, I'm done. I'm going to be so livid. That's going to be even more hurtful.
You're not the only person.
I can't take it.
You're not the only person I've seen talk about like this. There's been a couple of Arsenal chat rooms, chat groups, and Twitter and whatever. He is held in so high regard by the Arsenal fans, and rightly so. He is fantastic. None of us can work out why he's not getting the minutes. I think last year there was the reasoning behind didn't want to push him back too early and was saving him for this year. But he's not been getting in this year. Had we started this year and he'd been getting minutes, even coming off the bench for 20 minutes, half an hour, last year would have made a bit more sense to me, not risky. But the fact that he's played literally minutes in the Premier League, I think something stupid like 3 or 4 minutes I was reading.
Community Shield, wasn't it, as well? He came on for about 2 minutes.
It's like, I don't get it. So something's not quite right here. Or is it potentially that he is going to then start giving him a run of games now? Like, I don't know. And I want it to be that second one, but it's something not adding up. Similar to the Gabriel thing, it's just not adding up right now. And it's worrying. It's really worrying because I think, again, I saw one of your tweets. We were coming off the back of a transfer window where we were all quite high. We definitely strengthened that team, and the squad was strengthened, and we were looking to get out some sort of, some of the fringe players. But all of a sudden, it's just gone a bit sour. The way we started the league, the rumours of players leaving, it's just not quite happened. So I think, like, the next few days of the transfer window and the Man United game, I think, are crucial. These next 6 days, 5-6 days in our season are going to be absolutely crucial. And it can't be understated.
I would go as far as to say that what you just mentioned about the next few days of the transfer and the Man United game is actually going to be season defining this early in the season. That's how crazy it is. When we first hit the transfer window, we were like, how often do Arsenal get their business done early? It was a dream come true. The business is done early, massive signings, and they've got chances to get to know their team, to get to know where they're going to stay at home. They're going to get to know London. They're going to get to know their teammates and how they play with it. Get time to train with each other and play pre-season together. Whereas before in the past, we would get all these last-minute signings, and the season's already started. So it was such a euphoric moment that wow, we've got. And then on to add to all of that, we got Raya in as well. We're thinking, where'd that come from? Do we need a goalkeeper? Well, we've got one now. We've got 2 number ones in a weird way, if you want to look at it like that. And then now all of a sudden, Tierney's gone. Gabriel might be going. We've lost Timber to injury. All right, you can't legislate for that, but you've lost Timber to injury. But then if you're thinking about getting Gabriel, we're back to square one. So our defence again is going to start looking thin. And if it's about, oh no, but we've got Partey playing there, that's no, that's not the answer. We were flush with our defence, and all of a sudden, within a coin toss, we're going to be bloody down and out again, and very thin that area. And I just feel then, ESR going off to one of our rivals. All right, I know people might argue that Chelsea aren't a rival at the moment, but they're still a big club. However they've achieved it, yeah. However they've achieved, they've got no history, but however they've achieved their success, they're still a club to be reckoned with. And you can't be giving a talent like ESR to Chelsea if that is true. That is, I mean, I don't know. It could all be BS, but
a lot of it I do take a lot of stuff with a pinch of salt.
No. I agree.
It's still worrying. It's still worrying.
No, I'm the same. You know me. I hate doing gossip about transfers. I don't think about a transfer until we've actually got him. He's in the shirt and he's signed and sealed and delivered by the actual official website. But I still, if there's any even a small chance that this is a possibility, it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. We are now short. We've lost Timber. We've lost Kieran Tierney, which, all right, a lot of it was expected to happen. But we are now falling short. We were supposed to be adding depth to the squad and getting rid of Deadwood, not getting rid of key players. Deadwood and key players are two very different things. So I'm a bit of a loss at this. I don't know what's going on.
So just a quick one. Terry's posted in there saying he still thinks we're 4 transfers short. Interesting to know if you could choose 4 players, Terry, right now. Just interested to see if we can have a chat about it. Who would those 4 be? While we're waiting for that, Steve, what about you with the ESR rumours? I know you love him as much as
I love him. I think he could be as good as Bergkamp. I genuinely do. So I've got a little theory on this because obviously Reece has signed a new contract, so no, we're not talking about him. And ESR, they're all kind of nailed down. One of the things that we've done over the last couple of seasons is that we've always fallen off towards the end. I just think they're going to be rotated in and out. So I think we do need to calm a little bit. I think we will see ESR. We're going to see them in all the cup runs, and FC Salami when we're flying out a million miles to do whatever we're going to be doing. Plymouth 2-0 up as well against Palace. Spot on, boys. But you're absolutely right. I think if we were to take first, I'll take Mudryk. Like, go boil your head. The one player I have to say at Chelsea that I'm just seriously, like, honestly, go put your head in a vat and go Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm just thinking that Michael Jackson guy, not the famous singer and the striker that he got. He looks tasty. He looks like a good player. Mudryk still looks like a buffoon, and I think we swerved there. And Enzo is starting to play there. So I genuinely think we need to be a bit careful there with Chelsea.
Just a quick one, boys. Saka's just won PFA Young Player of the Year. So well done to him.
Respect to the kids. B's a really good player, but I think you're absolutely right, Adam. I think ESR could be just as good, if not better. And Neil, I'll totally take it. So Tavares, everyone's going mental about that. No, get rid of that guy. He's not good enough. He's just in fact,
Tavares. I heard before we come online, the loan to Forest will get rubber stamped tomorrow. Loan fees 1 million, option to buy at 12 million next year.
Yeah.
And they're paying 100% of his wages. That's win-win, surely.
That's good. That's
win for Arsenal anyway.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for Forest. But the irony of that one is the game that put the nail in the coffin for him was against Forest in the Cup. Since that game, he hasn't played. Now he's going to play for him. That's just like football,
I think they'll push him up and make him into a winger. Yeah,
probably rightly so. He can't defend.
That's where we should be, and we've got plenty of those. The other thing that I did hear was obviously Tommy Ashu out the door.
I've heard similar, yeah.
So Tomiyasu to go.
I don't think he'll go now with Timber out unless we get someone else in. I can't see it.
Yeah. Well, would you not rather have the dead MJ as instead of Havertz? So kind of go from there instead. But no, look, I think ESR could easily do what Havertz is doing. If I'm honest with you, easily, but without, and I wouldn't even be stressed by it. Obviously, Cedric needs to go. Pepe needs to go, which is a real shame because I would hope that he would have done a lot better for us. We've now got we're virtually there with old.
Balogun and Monaco should get rubber stamped in the next 2 days.
And we've got to sell off
30 million up front plus 10 million add-ons, I'm hearing. Not bad.
So, yeah. And again, it's all about the ego on that kid, unfortunately. I've got no doubt he's going to be a great striker, but it's a massive ego. He's just got a massive ego. It's disruptive. Go away. Just go away.
Looks like Rob Holding's off. Luton or Wolves at the moment are looking likely.
Yeah, which and he deserves it. I think he deserves a good send off, not in a negative way. Now, Nenny obviously he's going to come to an end fairly soon as well. So I think we're going to see something. The one thing I did put in the chat earlier actually is that we do need. I was seeing some stats on our homegrowns. And we're not light, but we're just on the button with our homegrown. So if we did sell ESR, we'd have to bring somebody up, and it might be. Waneri, they might bring him up and bring him forward because we've got Cozier.
Rail Waters is rumoured to be getting up towards. He's been training with the first team. Obviously, he's a defender. They reckon he could be the next one to be integrated. So he's a beast actually.
So I just think we're going to have a bit of a clear out. I also think so. Here's the thing. I'm going to put this in. I think we'll get another defender in on loan.
Yeah,
I think we'll get a defender in on loan because we're going to probably need one. And I think you're absolutely right, Neil. Is that all of a sudden we're awash with defenders, and now we're not. But he will clear this. I do think that we'll get, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes from a Spanish market.
Guys, I'm going to have to shoot. I'm really, really sorry.
No worries, mate.
Thank you so much, as always. Enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks to everyone in the chat as well. So,
no worries, mate.
I'll see you soon. All right. Take care, guys.
I think, like you said, we're going to be seeing maybe 5 or 6 outgoing in the next few days.
We need to.
And I expect at least one in. I think one in. I think it will be a defender. And I think it'll be a defender probably who has got Premier League experience.
You think so? I think we'll get. Yeah, I would like to see a beast of a striker, to be honest with you, as well. I'd like to see an absolute monster of a striker. So 9'3". Just a beast to come in and just who's the Luton number 11? He looks like unbelievable. He's like a man.
Is he the guy who's been up through the leagues with them?
I don't know if he was, but I remember watching the Luton game the other day, and he was watching him thinking, "Oh my god, 6'7", like he looked like." But no, I don't think ESR is going to go. I genuinely don't.
I don't either. I can't see it.
I'm genuinely worried though that Gabriel will go. I really am. I'm really worried that Mangales will go, but because because the rumor is, of course, if he goes, we'll go for. Was it Gouye? Who's the Crystal Palace guy?
Mark Gay. Well, it's actually his partner we're being linked with. Joachim Anderson's the one that we're being linked with more.
Okay. Gay, I saw.
Gay, I think it was going to cost us a lot more money. One, he's English, he's younger. And I think the rumours I've seen around Joachim Anderson make a little bit more sense because he's more affordable, Premier League experience. But again, would he go from playing first team at Palace to being inferior back up with us? I can't really see it, unless the money's that much better.
What about Raya? Would you say that he was number 1 goalie at Brentford?
It's true. Yeah, you don't know what they're being told, do you? Yeah. You just don't know what they're being told. So I can see another person coming in.
I agree with Emerson there, by the way. I absolutely agree with Emerson. And that's a really good way to blood those guys in. That's where you want to see the likes of Jorginho. Because one thing that Jorginho is really good at is actually coaching and driving while he's on the pitch. He's very much like Odegaard. And I know we've all sort of, I don't understand the reason why they subbed him in. But if you watch him, he actually drives the whole team together and he pushes everybody together and he actually talks to everybody, puts them into so having someone like Jorginho around those young players in a Carabao type cut, man, that'd be it for me. I'd be really happy.
100%. I think, looking at my agenda, we have covered most things that we wanted to tonight, Steve.
Yeah.
We're almost there. I think there's one thing that we'd like to discuss, isn't there? There's one thing we'd
What's
like to tell everyone about. So before we go into this, everyone, we've asked Rich, the boss. He's happy with us telling you about it. So during the summer, myself and my good friend Steve been working on a little side project. Why don't you tell the lovely people in the chat what we've been doing?
Well, so one of the things is that whilst we love our Arsenal, to the bottom of our hearts and to the bottom of our wallets most of the time, and the frustration, and it's lovely to see the passion that I see from the likes of Terry and everybody else. And Terry, mate, I'll never take it all to heart, and all of the good people that's on there. What I realise is actually football fans are really quite angry. All of you are just immensely angry. So we're working on a football-related project, Adam and I, and a few others. We're calling it Football Ranter. And so what we've got is we've got a little podcast that's going on Apple on the Apple Podcast Network. If you look for
also available on Amazon, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you get your podcast from. And the idea is about angry fans. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter who you support. It doesn't matter whether, it can be asked. There's normally a lot of, if you look at our TikToks, there's normally a lot of Arsenal related stuff with me swearing. But we're on the podcast. And the idea is you just got to be angry. If you've got something to tell us, if you are genuinely upset about something, could be Havertz. So Terry, it could be Havertz, right? Go to footballranter.com. There's a WhatsApp number. You can send us a message, right? There's an email. You can send us an email, right? And carry a pigeon and whatever you want to do. You tell us what you think, and we'll either read it for you, or even better, if you could just record it on the WhatsApp, we'd absolutely love it. And you're going to be part of the show. So we have. Adam and I did. We've been promoting some of the non-league teams as well. So there's two things. There's the anger side of it for our fans. So think of it as football therapy. But there's also promotion of the non-league as well. So we've been doing interviews with chairman. We've been doing interviews with. But Terry, you can join in. That's the whole part. Just go to footballranter.com. You can join in, my friend.
We're doing this for the fans, Terry. It's people like you we're doing this for.
This is it. So you can scream, shout, and no holds barred. Like, you can swear because it is for a mature content. It's for mature people. So we have this thing called Rantasia that we do every now and again, which is basically a collection of all the best tweets, emails, and messages that we've had in, that we've come across. And trust me, we've got some absolute doozies coming up this week. We're going to put in, and we're also interviewing some characters. So we've got football players, strikers. We'll be talking to chairman, kit manufacturers. We've got another little side project that's coming in that could talk about the impacts of some of the so England coming out of the the EU and what's happening, what that's done to football. There's certain things. So the idea is, but it's all about expression. It's all about no holds barred. If you hate Havertz, if you really hate Havertz, Terry, go on Football Ranter WhatsApp. Tell us, mate. Don't hold back. You'll be on the show. I promise you.
How you doing, James? Good evening. But yeah, I've just put a little link into our pod bay for the episode. We've got our new episode launch tomorrow, isn't it? It's overnight, actually.
It is, yeah.
New episode goes out overnight. That'll be episode 4. And episode 4, I think, is probably the first thing that is probably, I would say, where the concept come from. So,
not for the faint heart.
And obviously, just to let you know, there is a little bit of swearing. So,
there's a lot of swearing.
You will not get banned. Once you listen to us, you will understand why. So for anyone who watched us doing the Arsenal Social Extra last year, it's kind of along those lines, but we've expanded it to football and not just Arsenal. Okay, we love Arsenal. That's why we're still doing this, obviously. But we wanted to kind of, reach a bigger audience. So, Terry, you can come on board and you can shout stuff like that. Get involved, please. Give us a follow, give us a like, spread the word, spread the love.
Or just email and I'll read it out for you, Terry. There's no problem. So I did one from a Middlesbrough fan. So that'll be on. I did one from a Middlesbrough fan. And oh my God, provocative. So please, again, this is an over 18s. I'm going to say it's an over 18s. We've got Rich coming on as well. So Rich is going to, we're going to unleash Rich on it basically. And we won't be banned from anything, but it is over 18s. It's not for the younger audience, but we're still going to continue loving our team. We're still going to continue going to the Emirates. We're still going to continue doing this sort of stuff with you amazing people that we have. But you know, we're going to also give you a platform for you to really vent to the point of like screaming and shouting. It's perfectly fine, and you know, you'll be part of our Rantasian.
Exactly. Excellent. So, Steve, as always, thank you for being here. You know, we talk most days. It's always nice to see your face. So, love it as always. Thank you for Neil for being on earlier as well. Always good to see him. Thank you for everyone else in the chat. Always good to see everyone in the chat as always. Terry, I'll never get bored with your comments.
Mate, come on, Terry. It's all about mate. It's all about you. I need to talk to you about boilers as well at some point. Have a look on that website, Terry. There's ways to contact us, mate. You let rip. Don't you just if you're having a bad day, just let rip on the WhatsApp. Done. It's open. It's open to everybody. Again,
we'll see you all next week.
Love to
have a good day, people. Bye, everyone.